Hello, everybody. I am back. My name is Inita Allen, and I just want to talk to you about being a parent of an autistic child. I am just going to talk about the first experience, me being pregnant in his first years. I had a normal pregnancy. Nothing out of the ordinary. It was not my first pregnancy, it was my third pregnancy. I went full term, 40 weeks. I got all the tests done that you get done throughout your pregnancy to check on your baby. There was nothing that came back to tell me that my child was going to be autistic. Even when he was born, he wasn't premature or needed to stay over the look at me. He didn't need to stay over in the hospital. He came home with me after I stayed 2 days. He was 9 pounds and 8 ounces. He was a big baby. He had lots of hair. He just was a bundle of joy. So I didn't notice anything at first, just from the first, pregnancy and the first few days of his life. Once I did get him home, I did notice how he was really attached to me more than his dad. I just thought it was typical because, like I said, I've had 2 other children, and at first they kind of was clingy to me too. I did breastfeed him for 3 months. After that bottle, it was challenging to transition him because he just was so attached to breastfeeding, but I just stuck to it and had to find the right nipple and right bottle that he liked. And it was trial and error that I had to go back and forth to Walmart to say, okay, this nipple didn't work, this nipple didn't work. And then I finally found a nipple that did work, and I just started putting the breast milk in there, and I just started transitioning him to formula because I was going back to work, and I wanted to make sure that Dad and the babysitter could keep on feeding my baby. I noticed that he didn't like he didn't like to be laid down. He cried a lot. More than my other kids that just cried all the time, preferred to be in my arms. I still didn't catch clue that something was, different about him. He just was a baby that liked to cry. I had him in October, and so by the time Christmas came, we were given a walker for Christmas, and I put him in that walker and propped him up, and he was only 2 months and he loved it. So from then on, I propped him up all the time in order for me to be able to do dishes and other house chores and things that I needed to get done. And again, I had 2 other children that still needed my support. Even though the dad was there, helping out and doing everything, they're always calling mom. He sit in that walker all the time, moved it around, and then once I learned that he liked to be propped up in like a standing or sitting type situation, I switched his swing to one of the old-fashioned sit-up swings that went back and forth, and he enjoyed that a lot better, but not he just liked sitting in it. He didn't like it when it swung back and forth. He didn't like that motion. He would cry, but he was okay just sitting in one of those sit-up swings. And so that's kind of the first 3 or 4 months of just figuring out how he likes things and how I could, move around and do chores and tend to my other kids. After that, he started getting a little older, and I was like, okay, it's time for food. So I bought a lot of baby food, nothing out of the ordinary. I started to feed him. He would just kind of put his hands in the way and spit whatever I put in his mouth out, which is kind of sometimes typical for kids. At first, they're like, I don't know what this is, and I don't want it in my mouth. But I just kept on doing it. and he just kept on refusing to swallow it and refusing to even touch it. He didn't like to touch it and just would cry and just not want anything to do with it. I learned soon that I was like, I need to tell my doctor that this is going on so that we can get my baby to eat. You know, they just kept on telling me, keep on trying, and I did, and he, as I say, he's 3 years old now, and he still does not eat. So I just stuck with his formula, and then of course once he got to 1, I quit the formula and I went to milk, and I did transition him to a sippy cup. It was challenging too, because again, you got to find the right cup, the right nipple, and I did that. I did just have to take the bottle away, and I did just have the sippy cup. But honestly, I'm trying to tell you that when your son or your daughter is first not meeting any of the milestones that they should be meeting, like crawling and saying mom and dad, and trying to stand up on with the couch or the table, or they're not crawling, or they're not rolling over, that those are signs that you should definitely reach out to your doctor and ask, you know, and let them know that they're not meeting these milestones, because they will give you all kind of helpful agencies and tips to try to get that ball rolling, to get your kid to try to meet that milestone. Again, my son didn't meet any of those milestones until a little bit later on. So they did get me with the program, and it was called First Steps. And First Steps came in with a person that did feeding, a person that did OT, a person that, you know, came in and just was an advocate to just reassure me that these are the different steps that you need to take, because your child is not understanding in the way that is the average way that a kid would be learning. They were so helpful, and a great support team, and I'm so glad that I was a part of First Steps. First Steps is just there for their first, 1 until they are 3. They will be with your child as long as they still qualify and they are still not meeting the milestones that they should be meeting. But I just want to reassure you that you do have a support team out here. You just have to get out here and, you know, speak up and speak out for your child, because you really are their advocate to making sure that they meet their milestones and they have a healthy and happy life. That is my first introduction into the world of autism. First Steps did help me get to a place called the Thompson Center, and they do testing for autistic children and children with just different diagnoses of other things. You see, they give you all kind of content and get you prepared for the very first day that you are at the Thompson Center. It is an all-day thing, and you have to fill out a lot of paperwork, but it is so important for you to fill out all that paperwork as soon as possible, because there's a waiting list, and you want to make sure to get on that list as soon as possible, because sometimes it takes a month or 2 months before you're even seen at these centers that are in different towns. And once you are on the waiting list and you do get called, it is a long day. You're there from anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. Them just doing, talking to you, taking your kid into different rooms, doing different things that they need to do to diagnose your child, to see if your child has autism. I think the hardest thing about my child having autism is first hearing it, first like having to process it and accept it. Because most of the time you'll hear from other people, oh, he'll grow out of it, or they may have misdiagnosed him, or, you know, that those can be true, but in all honesty, accept it and make sure that you are reading and learning and, you know, doing everything you can to give your wonderful child the same experience of a child that doesn't have any of those problems. Not gonna lie, I was so frustrated in the beginning. It was so difficult. It was so challenging to have a kid that didn't speak one word and he cried all the time. Like, I had to learn his cries to know, okay, he's hungry. You know, I'm still playing that game at 3 years old. Although it has gotten a lot better with him, you know, taking my hand and maybe picking up what he wants, or going to the door to tell me that he wants to go outside. It does get better, but I do want to tell you that it is definitely a process and a journey that you have to have lots of patience, and you have to just think outside of the box of anything that you were doing with your other kids, because they're just, you know, the whole different child. But I love him so much, and I just want to make sure that he is getting all the programs and being in all the activities and doing everything that the feeding team and my therapy team and the school and you know, I also have like Boone County Family Resources. They provide so many resources for families to help, so that you can, you know, have time to yourself and to just come in and help guide you in a way that you're functioning with your whole family and not just about the child. Because when you have a child with a disability, or as my son says, a new ability, keep up. And you have to incorporate the whole family, because it affects the whole family, not just the child. So again, I just want to say thank you for listening in, and stay tuned, because I got a whole lot of content about just being a mom of an autism child. All right, love you guys. Smooches.